Parents strongly caution the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
Si puedes entender lo que estoy diciendo, que se sepa que soy un maldito bicho raro que está obsesionado con Jenna Ortega, que no tiene absolutamente ninguna vida fuera de mi canal de YouTube. Estoy probablemente va a sonar porque estoy haciendo todo esto a través de un traductor de inglés a español. Para quien la importa. Oh. Hi there, audience. CBM Productions here. See, ever since my last video on Jenna Ortega, all the way back to, oh shit, it's been like 3 weeks. Yeah, anyways, ever since my last video on Jenna, I figured the only way to truly connect with Jenna is to speak and learn her home language. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, it's not like I can put this skill to any use, so hold on for 1 second, folks, I'll be right back. Hey there, folks. Ignorant ass, single language speaking dumb American here. Back again with yet another installment in the Jenna Ortega saga. But how am I supposed to get a bad Latina before I turn 21? It's actually the top of my birthday wish list. Like, come on, why can't you think of me for a second? Or I guess you can classify this as a spin-off because we're not covering anything directly related to Jenna herself today, but a consequence, if you will, of the show that she starred in becoming immensely popular in the case of Wednesday. I think even recently it's been reported that Wednesday is the most watched original program on Netflix that's ever been on the service. I think even just Netflix in general.
Holy mother of God!
At this point, everybody and their mother knows about the show in some way, shape, or form, including every single one of you that's watching this video right now. I wasn't expecting to make a video about Jenna so soon after the last one I made about her, but for context, one of my best friends a few days ago who regularly sends me posts of like, you know, Jenna Ortega and Wednesday Addams and the like for memes and shit, sent me this random shit post on Instagram and I haven't been the same since.
Man, all you can manage is a toner.
After seeing this, it sent me down a really dark and deep rabbit hole of trying to find every single shitty Wednesday Addams related game on the App Store to try them out and cover them for you guys on the channel. Now for new viewers who aren't caught up on the lore of this channel,
why did everyone just freak out when her phone rang?
You gotta keep up, my dude.
For the past 6 months or so, I've made a handful of videos covering the many ways that people are trying to exploit Jenna Ortega's huge success and fame, coming out of Wednesday's premiere last fall. Now it's not like she was an unknown actress before the series premiered, but Wednesday skyrocketed her into the stratosphere to the point where now every single decision she makes in her personal life, people go apeshit over it. It's quite sad, and despite the fact she is living her dream, people can be quite cruel and cross boundaries in ways that are just very unfortunate, but that's just the byproduct of being a celebrity. And as we all know, if there's someone or something successful in the industry, whether that be music, movies, what have you, people will try to capitalize off that success in any way, shape, or form. And I've covered a lot of those avenues in my previous Jenna Ortega videos, from clothing, house decor, standees, and lots of other merchandising with Jenna and or Wednesday Addams' face plastered all over it. But of all the avenues I've covered regarding Jenna Ortega's, byproduct of success, Wednesday Addams and video games, that crossover never crossed my mind while doing research for my previous Jenna videos. But I mean, it makes sense given the fact that, you know, Wednesday is the most popular show on Netflix right now. It's still just so odd to me. So in doing my treacherous research for this video that completely fucked over my app downloading history, I found around a dozen or so Wednesday Addams related games that range in quality from being decent enough to absolutely abysmal. And just to preface this, I will really only be covering Wednesday Addams related games for the most part. I really won't be covering any other just superfluous apps like the, you know, trivia apps based on the show, because to be honest, I've only seen the first 2 episodes of Wednesday because I fell asleep and never went back.
Move this man!
You're trash, Brock.
I know, call me a fake fan, but to be honest, I'm terrible at watching TV. If it's not MCU related or like The Bear or Barry, it takes me a minute to finish a TV show. Anyways, a lot of these Wednesday apps outside the game ones are kind of copy and paste of each other, and there really wouldn't be much diversity to cover in terms of like, you know, each individual app. I mean, like what, Enid and Wednesday friends? But are they really just friends?
I don't know. Light. Roblox.
It's time for CBM Productions.
Alright, so I'm not gonna waste any more time and just delve right into these apps one by one in pretty quick succession, I would say, considering the fact that a lot of these apps are pretty bare bones and pretty much just knockoffs of way more successful apps and games out there. A lot of these apps are unironically kind of like the apps that are advertised to you randomly on YouTube while you're like eating on your lunch break, that scream like 2017 Elsagate vibes, that have shapeshifted into these games after being banned off YouTube, for the most part. Anyways, let's jump into our very first app, simply titled Wednesday Dance, or Wednesday Dance. My apologies. So given the title and what you see on screen, it's a very limited app where you have a low-res model of Wednesday Addams that wouldn't even look good on the original DS. I mean, look at that face. And why are her dogs sticking out? Is she trying to wear heels? Regardless, the gimmick of this app is having Wednesday dance to 10 different moves of your choice, none of which resemble any of the actual moves that she performs in the series. Instead, you have the options of, but not limited to, her doing Gangnam Style and the Macarena, just to name a few. Was this app created in 2023 or 2013? And you'll see throughout the course of this video that unless you're Epic Games, anybody with a hint of coding experience, even if it's the average 6th grader learning how to type properly in their computer science class, can make a game and put it on the App Store. The quality control is non-existent with apps like these. And you know what makes this even more cursed? Just listen. Do you hear anything? Yeah, me neither. There is no music that's accompanying any of the goofy ass moves that Wednesday is busting down to. With an app that's sole purpose is a cash in on the Wednesday dance trend, the fact there's no music playing like the stupid ass Lady Gaga remix song that made the Wednesday dance trend blow up or anything else of note, like you couldn't get the rights to the JENNA ORTEGA album, come on. The fact there's no music or even ambiance to accompany whatever this sorry ass excuse is for a Wednesday Addams sim makes this even more cursed. Like, this reminds me back in elementary school where me and like a bunch of other kids in my school, and I assume you probably know who these kids are as well, where like you'd be in like history class covering some tragic event like, you know, the assassination of MLK or something like that. And for our PowerPoint presentations, we would just put like the most random ass shit that was popular at the time in our presentations. That had nothing to do with the presentation, but it was just there to spice it up and make people laugh. I bet you money that somewhere out there, there's probably like a group of like preteen girls that had like this like low res, you know, JPEG of Wednesday Addams dancing, accompanying like a PowerPoint presentation explaining like what the hell Jim Crow laws are or some shit like that. And I wouldn't be surprised. Next up we have Wednesday Adventure, a simple 3-lane endless runner a la Temple Run, a la Subway Surfers, a la Minion Rush, and 1,000 other clones like it on the App Store. If you play any game like that, this game does nothing to break the formula.
Back to formula.
It's essentially just Subway Surfers, from the gameplay, power-ups, life system, but with no overweight cop chasing you. There's really not much to talk about regarding this game because it's so bare bones and probably the most obvious knockoff of this entire list of games that I'm talking about today. Even the coins are implemented in here because it's a, you know, game and it's a platformer in some way, shape, or form. They're completely superfluous in the game's context. They don't mean anything in the game because there's nothing you can actually do with them. At least with all these cheap ad-filled microtransaction style games, you get coins so you can unlock more power-ups or get less ads or, you know, get Wednesday Addams to, you know, shape shift into different costumes or some shit like that. In this game, There's quite literally nothing else. It's just a game, and that is it. There's also this 3-star system implemented in here, which makes no sense because it's just as superfluous as the coins, to where it really doesn't mean anything because you can like get 3 stars after playing the game for only 5 seconds. It's just there because it's a game. That's it. This quite literally feels like a tech demo that a middle schooler made for coding class, instead of a fully fledged game. The only noteworthy thing that stuck out to me while like playing this game for like 2 seconds is that Wednesday's model is so off here. Once again, I don't know why she's barefoot. What's the obsession with Jenna's dogs? I'm being serious. Also, why does she have no face? She looks like one of the faceless demons from one of the Insidious movies. And whenever you die in the game, her body just turns to jello for some reason. It's a small detail, but I did find it amusing. But yeah, it's a game. Moving on. Next up, we have Wednesday Escape Monster. I told you the quality control in the App Store is completely non-existent with games like these. The gimmick of this game is that you have Wednesday Addams, and yes, this is meant to be Wednesday Addams. We'll get to that in a second. As you control her through a series of levels throughout this overhead view of rooms, as you try to get her to the endpoint before the monster, which somewhat resembles Frankenstein a little bit, gets to her. And if you get to the end, you go to the next level and, rinse and repeat the same shit. I'm gonna say this right off the bat, this is probably the worst game I played in preparation for this video. For several reasons. First off, this game has no challenge. From the footage you're seeing here, the point is to try and sneak your way through these rooms like you're playing Metal Gear or some shit. But in reality, you can just run through a straight line to the endpoint and be done within less than 5 seconds. Not to mention, who the hell designed Wednesday Addams and Thing? This looks like the Chinese knockoff you see like on store shelves at the Big Lots next to like the Incredible Fella or some shit like that. And why does Thing just look like a normal hand and attached to what looks like the red M&M? I mean, I know they probably have a hard time finding work after getting cancelled, but to scoop this low already? Come on. But the biggest issue with this game is how badly it runs. For a fairly simplistic game, you expect it to, run fairly smoothly, minus all the ad breaks. But at least for my phone, after every single level that lasted about 2 milliseconds, and trying to go to the next level, the app wouldn't load it and crash. Even restarting the app to try and go to the shop to make Wednesday Addams actually look like herself, and not like a Monster High doll, the app would crash when I would try to access that as well. It's so tedious and I don't understand why a game that's as bare bones as this is so hard to run on modern devices. The only compliment I'll give it is that at least the Wednesday dance animations on this Wednesday, or should I say Wednesday Addams, are at least somewhat accurate to the show, unlike the other Wednesday dance that we talked about earlier. But otherwise, never try this game out, folks, because it won't even let you play it for more than 2 seconds. Next up, we have Escape Wednesday Hand. Don't you just love these titles? This is yet another endless runner that is somehow worse than the other one that I talked about earlier. This time we have 2 options, either running in the snow or running in the mud. Either one you choose is purely just for aesthetic reasons. Like I talked about with the other Wednesday Subway Surfers knockoff, it's just like 10 million other games you've seen or played before. But unlike the other Wednesday Endless Runner, where at least that looks somewhat professionally made, this game looks like absolute shits. This game doesn't even look acceptable if it dropped on the App Store back when it launched in 2007. From the design of Wednesday straight up looking like a Roblox model, the barely rendered graphics that looks about as finished as a Flash movie, even down to the shading being noticeably bad. Where the shading looks like the world's falling apart at the seams like Flash running back in time in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I just mentioned Flash twice in a row. I feel like if I mention Flash again, Ezra Miller's gonna break into my house and steal all my liquor.
Hi. Always just knock you out and then you won't have to panic.
Right, you just gotta knock people out.
Just let me know.
Yeah.
This game is just as bare bones as the other Endless Wednesday Runner, where nothing you do means anything, and it looks horrible. Seriously, even the text looks low res and unfinished. How do you think this is acceptable in any sort of way by 2023 standards? It boggles my mind. It has to be only children making these games because I can't see an adult making this, putting on the App Store and thinking this is acceptable for audiences to consume. Even the Endless Runner formula is done poorly here. The way the camera's fixed on the ground makes everything seem much more constrained, and with how big and bulky the Wednesday model is, it's hard to see what's in front of you, and it's not fun to play whatsoever. Anyways, this game is horrible, and let's just move on to something that's hopefully more polished than these past few games have been. Next up, we have Wednesday Coffin. The premise of this game is pretty simple. You have Wednesday, who basically has the physics of a rag doll, as you have to guide her down a pit where you have to stick her to platforms like she's Spider-Man.
Holy
shit! It's Spider-Man!
I'm gonna do my own thing.
And avoid buzzsaws for some reason until she plops into her coffin and you head to the next level. Rinse and repeat. Despite this game is very basic, it's a massive improvement and probably the best game I've covered out of all of the games so far in this video. First off, the game actually looks decent and looks like it was made within the past decade, but also the functionality of the game is pretty solid. The gameplay, while being very reminiscent of stuff like Happy Wheels or Cut the Rope, it does a knockoff formula pretty okay in my opinion. The controls are fine, you can pass through the levels pretty easily. Wednesday Addams actually looks like herself and I like the ragdoll aesthetic. The currency you collect in the form of these Chaos Emeralds actually can be spent on items in the game and aren't just there for decorations. The game actually functions well and doesn't crash after every level. And you know the standards of these games are so low to the point where I'm giving those as compliments. CBMF ASMR. But the fact the game functions on a basic level and actually is aesthetically pleasing, I can actually see people unironically playing this game to pass the time. It's not great and I'll probably never play it again after this video releases, but it's fine regardless. Next up we have Freak Runner 3D. This is one of those simple get to the end type runners, where you try to collect piranhas while sifting through these phases that either add or detract the amount of piranhas that you have. Not dissimilar to a lot of other games that do this formula, except you don't get Wednesday double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon. The goal is to get enough piranhas so by the end of each level, you have enough to kill several of your classmates in the swimming pool, as the piranhas turn them into Kool-Aid, and you hop to the next level to do the exact same thing over and over again. Once again, this game's a knockoff of a game formula that's been done much better beforehand, but for what it's worth, it's a functionable game. The fact it looks like it was made for modern devices and actually does function on a basic level already puts it above the vast majority of the games we talked about for this video so far. And the added bonus of it not just being another game with a Wednesday Addams skin, but the fact they implemented it being a homage and a reference to the opening scene that kicked off the series was a nice touch and felt like the person who actually made the game was a fan of the series or at least was familiar with the show in some way, shape, or form. Once again, this game's probably one I'll never pick up or play again, considering the fact I really don't play mobile games in general, and it's honestly been years since I actually invested into a mobile game, until the idea for this video popped up in my head, but for what it's worth, it's a solid game. Next up we have Season 2 Wednesday Challenge Puzzle. Once again, grammar is just out the window with some of these titles. Also, as a side note, a lot of these Wednesday apps have Season 2 in front of their titles. I guess just to try to drum up hype for Wednesday Season 2, which probably won't come out for another year or so because of the writer's strike, but I mean, props to try to get early hype up. Regardless, this is just yet another very simplistic game where you match various DeviantArt pigs of Wednesday and match them in the right positions. And pretty much all these pigs predominantly revolve around Christina Ricci's Wednesday versus JENNA Ortega's, which is kind of off-putting because some of the fans they decided to choose in the game, like the Mommy Milker's Wednesday, feels out of place considering when most people think of Christina Ricci's Wednesday, they picture a child.
Boom. A child.
They had sex.
So that's odd. Regardless, it's a very minimalistic game where you match Wednesday pictures across these 3 levels, and that's about it. There's no rhyme or reason for anything, not even a reward for completing the game. It doesn't matter how far you are in the level, you'll get the same end sprite across all these levels that I've solved all the puzzles. Can you spot the grammatical inconsistency?
Perfect.
I mean, come on, this just gives off very big rigs energy here. Anyways, it's a very simple puzzle game and that's it. Hey, sorry for yelling earlier. I didn't mean to be so loud. To make up for it, I decided to make you a PB&J sandwich. I was gonna make you a quesadilla, but I honestly think that would just be too racially insensitive. I hope you appreciate it for, our 6-month anniversary of you not knowing who the fuck I am. But I really do appreciate you. What do you think? You wanna try it? Oh, it's gonna be like that, huh? Okay, fine. You're gonna try this fucking sandwich, you stupid fucking bitch!
No diving, please. No diving.
But enough of the iOS antics. Let's jump over to the Google Play Store and see what they have to offer for Wednesday games. Now, just to put this caveat in here, since I do have an iPhone that isn't supported by Google Play, and I don't really have any devices in my house to support it, I can't necessarily run these apps, so I do have to resort to third-party footage on YouTube for the majority of the rest of the games we'll be discussing. I'm not gonna put in the time to jailbreak my phone just so I can play Wednesday Addams Tile Hop. Which, I mean, speaking of, let's just discuss it. It's just Tile Hop, except it's Wednesday Addams themed. That's it. Also, if you look at Wednesday Addams Tile Hop on YouTube, you'll see some of the most absurd thumbnails I've ever seen. I mean, who's gonna win, Wednesday, Enid, Blackpink, or BTS? That's just the most random shit I've ever seen, and there's even more like it. I'm just trying to make sure Wednesday Addams over here doesn't fuck up my speedrun. Anyways, this game's pretty bland, so moving on. Next up, we have the Wednesday Addams coloring book. Really? I mean, I can make my own Wednesday coloring book myself. I don't need an app for that.
Now I see something red.
There's also another Wednesday 3D runner game, which, yeah, okay. But by far the best game, unironically, that I came across while researching for this video is a game called Hand Adventure, where you get to play as Thing, not to be confused with Marvel's The Thing or John Carpenter's The Thing, you know, the Thing from Wednesday. You know, not like the day of the week, but the chick from the Netflix series whose name's based off a poem. So we follow Thing as he sneaks around Metal Gear style, as he crushes the heads of several of these guards like he's in Mortal Kombat, as he attempts to rescue Wednesday who's been captured, and frees her if we kill all the guards in the room, and rinse and repeat to the next level. It's pretty formulaic, but to be honest, I had a good time while playing it. It's fun getting to smash guards' heads in like you're Jason Voorhees, and unlike that other stealth game I talked about earlier, this genuinely does the formula right. This might be a strange off-the-wall reference, but it reminded me of those Brian stealth levels in the Family Guy video game.
The dog, Brian!
Just done a lot better here. Anyways, the levels aren't too long, the game is actually fun to play, the game looks soft for being a mobile game, it runs well, it's not high art by any means, but out of all the games I cover for this video, this is the only one I might consider keeping on my phone.
Sir, I said no diving. Sir, come back here. Please?
Over from what you've seen in this video, it's obvious that practically anybody can turn a popular IP into a game of any kind. It doesn't take a lot nowadays to make a game in general, but it does take a lot of talent to make a game something worthwhile. And if you want to get into the field of developing or making games, even just simple games on the App Store, and you feel like you're gonna like fail or fall on your face hard or something like that, like you're not worthy of making a game, remember, there's always gonna be somebody worse than you. Always. Anyways, before I head out, I do want to talk about one last thing. I found this app called Wednesday Addams Fake V Call.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Where you can apparently get calls not only from Wednesday Addams, but JENNA Ortega herself. Now, I know people are gonna say it's just a prank app and nothing more, but something is telling me that it's just a ruse so people just don't download it and just don't take it seriously. What if I could actually get to talk with JENNA herself and actually like, you know, shoot my shot and actually get the ball rolling? I'm gonna try it out, so hope you guys have a good night or day or whatever time of the day you're watching this. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content, and remember, it's hard to be a perfect person, but not a decent one. Peace, y'all. Wish me luck. Okay, it's your time to shine. Don't fuck this up, Cram. Don't fuck this up. Oh shit, okay. What's up? Listen, I know you don't know who I am, but we got something in common. We both don't know a lick of Spanish. I was wondering if you could, you know, meet up. Probably like, you know, study a little Espanol together. You know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ. My bad. I was just trying to, Do you know where JENNA is? Can you put JENNA back on the line, please? I'm gonna hang up the phone now. Can you, I just need a minute,
Hope you had some fun.